So this is a higher level question. It's 2015 hyperbolic paraboloid, and I suppose one of the typical things that's different in a higher level question is you'll have to extend out the lines of the hyperbolic paraboloid. So if we look at yesterday's questions, if it was yesterday's question, we'd only given this diamond shape within the purple bit, I would be given these two lines here. We wouldn't have this outer shape. So they say this one is based on a Pringle. So this is the first one we've extended it, but hopefully it'll become a bit more obvious as we go along. Now, we'll just read the question we see. It says, the graphic on the right shows a packet of potato crisps. The potato crisps have a distinctive surface shape which is based on hyperbolic paraboloid. So when you look at it, you wouldn't think so, but it's actually sort of is based on hyperbolic paraboloid. The projection of one of the crisps is shown. The perimeter is an ellipse in plan. So that's an important point. This shape here is an ellipse. We're not told what this shape is. So you'll say, oh, well, that looks like some type of parabola or some type of ellipse, but it's not. We have to look at how to create that. The surface of the crisp is formed by extending the hyperbolic paraboloid ABCD. So the extending part is, as I said, the bit that's new there. Draw the given plan using the same number of elements in each direction. So typically, sometimes you can split into whatever you want, but this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 splits, right? So that's fine. That's usually what we're used to doing anyway. Draw the given elevation. So again, it usually gives you the order in which to do. So from that, the idea will be to attempt the plan. Now there is a part C and a part D here. Part C, I think we'll leave for another video. I don't think we'll cover it in this video. Part D we definitely won't. Okay, but part C would come out sort of perpendicular over here, so we leave a bit of space there. We'll keep it a bit over to this side. Now, one of the important things that we need to look at here is the scale. The scale is 2:1, which is unusual, right? So what that means is that it's double what it normally would be. So usually it will be 1:2, and they give you a hint there saying in large scale. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to change these measurements. So 25 would become 50. So I'm basically multiplying them 2. If you imagine a crisp is quite small, they're making it double that to fit better on the page. And 75 will become 150. You don't double degrees. Okay, so that's 35 degrees. You scale measurements, but you don't scale angles or degrees. Okay, so we're ready to go. Now, I think I'll probably do the construction for the ellipse first. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to figure out, oh, actually, no, I won't. I'll draw the purple line because I need to draw a major and a minor axis. And what I actually don't have is, without drawing this 35-degree line, I don't actually know what width this is. So the other thing is I want a little bit of space. We're not asked for an end view. So just because it's a new one, I want to have space for drawing out the circle. So you'll see what I mean by that in a second. So let's see, 150 is the highest or the biggest size. So I'm going to come up from the bottom. I don't know if this can see the bottom of the page. Yeah, okay. Sorry, there's a bar on the visualizer. It's hard to tell exactly what's shown when the bar disappears when the video comes out. So I'm going to come up, let's say I'll come up 90 from the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to draw a line across the middle. Okay, so that's 90 up. And again, I'm going to come in 90. Okay, I think that gives me a good bit of space to the left hand side. Okay, so I'm going to draw across here like so. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to create this purple construction here. So I need to set a 35-degree angle. So I have my adjustable set square. So most of you should have one of these at this stage. If you don't, we look at how to do it with a protractor. But the only thing to be careful of, I'll just put this down here on the thing, is that when you're marking out 35 degrees, make sure that it's between 30 and 40. Sometimes people go to 30 and then they go, oh, there we go, that's 35 degrees. But that's actually between 30 and 20, so it'll be 25 degrees. So it's 35 degrees. Okay. The next thing that's a little bit of a problem sometimes is which side should I use? So hopefully you'll notice by using that angle, it's an awful lot steeper. So that would actually be at 55 degrees. Okay, between 50 and 60. So it's this side. Okay. So it should look shallow. You should also have a slide over your set square there. And if you're right, if you've set it right, it should line up like that. So I sillily... Oh no, it's okay, it doesn't matter. I was going to say I made a mistake there in terms of I should have drawn this line first and then drawn the centre line. But no, I can mark 75 and I can mark my starting point. So there's my starting point there. Okay, so they used a purple, so we'll use a purple here. Now I'm not going to draw it as a dash line just for the sake of being able to see where the generators hit it. So I go 35 degrees that way. And I'll bring it back down. Okay, and we'll do the same here. And we'll do the same here. Now it can be difficult to balance your set square there because your T-square might slide off the board, particularly if, like me, you have a smaller A3 board. But there's basically the sides, and what we're going to do is write A, B, C, and D. So this is A, this is D, this is C, and this is B. Now, usually I would have drawn the ellipse first, but because I have this much done, what I may as well do is I'm going to draw the elevation as well. Now, I'm going to leave a gap here, bigger than a normal gap. So I'm going to leave a gap of, let's see, that's about 52 or 53. I'm going to leave a gap of about 25 here. Okay, or even 30. I'll leave a gap of 30. Okay, and I'll draw my ground line. Okay, we're not asked for an end view, so I'm not worried about keeping the gap very close. So there's my ground line. I didn't actually need to draw it that big, but anyways. So what I'm going to do is bring up A, bring up B and D, which are on top of each other, bring up C. A and C were on the ground, and then B and D are, we've doubled the size, so they're 50 mil. So that's why it's good practice as well to write the number there, so that when you're looking back at it, you're not looking at the original number and getting confused and forgetting to multiply some of them by 2 and using some of them original size. So just use the numbers that are written there. So again, what I'll do is I'll write my points. A, B, D, and C. So what you could do now is, if you aren't sure of the question, you could just do the same as you normally would. Split this into 5, mark these numbers here, and bring them across, draw your generator green lines this way, do the same here, bring them up here, and you'll actually get this curve here. What you won't actually get is this outside curve, but all the inner part of that would be solvable. The only reason I'm not going to doing that now is so that you can see how I'm going to construct the ellipse. So for some people it'll be a while since they constructed ellipses. For some people they're new to drawing in 5th year, so you know they may not be 100% aware of how to draw an ellipse. So we'll just cover that here. So the first thing is, if I want to draw an ellipse is a type of curve, and the method we typically use is 2 concentric circles, or using 2 circles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my minor axis, my smallest circle, to be the width between there and D. That's why I needed to draw this up to get this width. I don't know what it is, but if you want to check, it should be roughly about 52. Okay, it's wherever the 35-degree line met it. Okay, and I might write that on it for some people who don't have an adjustable set square. And I'm going to draw the other one. So the reason I left that bigger bit of a gap was just so that that circle didn't go into the top view. Now it wouldn't matter if it did, but it just makes it look that little bit neater for this question. So no, I thought I had a protractor here. You can always also mark this out with a protractor. I actually don't have one here now. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to take something light, so maybe a pink color here. I'm now going to get my 30-degree set square, which is my long set square, and I usually make this into what I call pizza slices. So by that, basically, I mean, if I was to split a pizza into 12 equal parts, they would all be 30 degrees. Right, 12 seems to be enough. You could split it into any number of parts and any degrees you wanted, but 12 is typically, it gives a good number of points. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down from the top where the line hit the bigger circle and bring it across from where it hit the smaller circle. Okay, so there are 2 of my points there. So I'm just going to sketch in this corner here. So also always highlight the points that you have. So I have D. I now know these 2 points here, and I know C. So really you need to know exactly where to start and where to finish. Okay, so sketch over this as best you can, and then usually go over it heavy. Okay, mine is a little bit jumpy there, but it's not too bad. So I'll repeat the same thing on the other side, albeit it'll be the opposite way. So by that I mean these will be going to the left, whereas these ones here will be going to the right. These ones will be coming up from the big circle, whereas on the upper side they came down. Okay. So I'll just sketch in my ellipse as best I can. Now don't worry if it's a little bit jaggedy. That will come in time. Okay, so over the period of the next 2 years, we'll improve our smoothness of curve. Okay, try not to make it too pointy at the end though. Okay, so I have my ellipse shape. Okay, so obviously what I've done there in pink and orange, if you can do that light, now the examiner would still need to be able to see it, but if you can do it light, all the better, because you don't want to have, the next bit is hard to see, so the lighter they are, the more easy it is to see. So what you want to do now is you want to split this into 5 equal parts. Now what you can do basically is you can measure it and then you can divide by 5. So that's roughly 90, maybe a small bit smaller. You could say, well, 90 divided by 5 is 18, and mark them out. But ideally you'd use the divisional line method. So again, I'm going to use the divisional line method in this corner where it's less noticeable. And then I'm going to just do it on one side because that'll be enough because it's a symmetrical shape to bring it around. So I'm going to draw a random line. I'm going to mark 5 equal parts on it. So I'll go 50 or 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Join the last one back to the end of the point that you want to on the line that you want to split, and then bring these across. Okay. So if it slips like it did there for me, go back and start at the first one. Okay, using these thicker markers isn't ideal, and also on the very edge of the board. But anyway, okay. So we'll now mark our points there. Okay, so what we'll do now is we can project these over to the other side. Okay, so it's a symmetrical shape. So because it's symmetrical, you can project them over. If it wasn't a perfect diamond, this method wouldn't work. You might have to do a split on some more sides, depending on how many are needed. So what I'll do now is I'll join the same way as they did here, and I'm using a green. Oh, sugar. I joined the wrong point. I'll just get a bit of Tipex there just to fix that up. Okay, so what I did was I joined that to that one. It should have been to that one. So I give that a second there to dry. So while I'm waiting for it to dry, what I'll do is I'll just heavy out my outline here in maybe a darker blue, so that it stands out from the lighter colours. So if you're using markers at home, I wouldn't use heavy colours to highlight the ellipse. Okay, I might use them to highlight the general letters, alright. I'll start here anyways. So I have right this time. Okay. Okay. And at this stage, I'm extending them to touch the edge of the ellipse. If I wanted to, I could come back and do that at a later stage, but I may as well do it at this stage, and it'll save me a bit of time. Okay, so I have my lines there. Obviously ignore that one there as best you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to number these bits here. So again, the same as I normally would, but I'm numbering the point where it's on the line AD. So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, and 4. And then we've got 5, and 5, 6, and 6, 7, and 7, 8, and 8. Okay, so I'll bring those up. So 1 is on the line AD. Actually, this is a symmetrical shape, which is a bit unusual. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll just work with 1, 2, 3, and 4. We actually don't need to work with 5, 6, 7, and 8 because it's a symmetrical shape. So bring this on up there. This is 1. 3, So again, I'll number them 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we'll just join them in as if we would in the normal question that we were doing yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's that done. Now what we need to do actually is we need to locate these points. Okay, so I'll just highlight them in red there. So what they are is basically if I extend on the line 1, 1 and find out where it stops, then that will give me that point which happens to be on the outside of the ellipse. Okay, so I know that 1, 1 is going to go on a bit longer, so I'm just going to draw it lightly in maybe a yellow for the minute just to see. So I'm just going to extend that on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up this point here. That's where 1, 1 will extend it on and touch the ellipse on this side. This is where 1, 1 extended on. Hopefully my pencils are. And touch the ellipse on that side. Okay, so I'll just use my green now. And you can see that's starting to give me a point here and a point here for the curve. Okay, so I'll do the same for 2, 2. I'll just do them one at a time, might be a little bit easier. So what I'm doing is I'm extending on 2, 2. And then bring up where did 2, 2 here hit the outside of the ellipse. There we go. And where did 2, 2 here hit the outside of the ellipse. There we go. Same with 3, 3. I'll extend it on. And lastly 4, 4. Okay, so if we do it one at a time, it's less likely that we'll make mistakes. Now, if it was an unusual shape or not a symmetrical shape, you have the same thing for 5, 6, 7, 8. But if you bring up 5 and 1, you'll see that they both end up on the same point. So what I'm going to do now is sketch in my outside here. You can see how those various points gives me the shape that I'd be expecting. Okay, so it gives me a series of points. If you want, you can take your green pen just to make sure that the generators only are shown in green as far as they would be. Right, so really if this was a normal pencil drawing, you should have 3 levels of width. The blue should be a dark, the green should be a medium, and then the sort of pink and orange there, and yellow should be light. Okay, and again what I'll do here is I'll sketch in this curve. Now what we haven't looked at so far is just technically in order for me to get the exact points for the curve, I should be bringing up these points here, so where it crosses in the middle. Because if you imagine if this is a Pringle shape, that's exactly where it stops curving up and starts going down. So that point is on the line 1, 1. That point there is on the line 2, 2. That point there is on the line 3, 3. That point there is on the line 4, 4. Now I just put them as little dots there, but just make sure that if you're marking them, again if you had a red colour pencil or something like that, the examiner can see how you did that. Okay, so I'll bring that down there. And I'm sitting down and doing this, but ideally be standing up to do the best curve that you can. Okay, so that's the question done, or part A and B of the question done. So it's a little bit confusing because the ellipse on top of it, but hopefully you should be able to get the main gist of that.